therefore thought I was an imposter and not ready, capable, talented, skilled enough. Yet all it needed was me to just, trust her and just trust myself
And say yes.
and say
And
yes.
say
And
yes.
say
Say yes.
yes.
The yes is the holy grail. Like it's the thing that really launched me into that whole process of self-discovery. And I wasted decades saying that I've got not a creative bone in my body. And friends would say to me, "You're not creative? How can you say you're not creative?" And I'd say, "Oh, because I'm not creative. And I don't know where that story
Came
got
from.
implanted, but it just stayed with me. And so now I will never say that. I do definitely have creative talent."
Real women, real lives, real stories. This is the Ladies in Power podcast. Unfiltered, unscripted, and refreshingly authentic. We're not holding back, and maybe after this, neither will you. Let's go. Welcome to the Ladies in Power podcast. My name is Mika Casey.
I'm Sandeep.
Dr. Soraya.
Govinda.
And we are Ladies in Power just like you. Today we are talking about imposter syndrome. If you are driving or you're in the house and you have ever experienced imposter syndrome, nod your head or safely raise your hand. Did you know 60% of professional women experience imposter syndrome? Even those women who are CEOs, CFOs. It's absolutely extraordinary. And we're going to be talking about it today with solutions for you on how to navigate that experience of imposter syndrome. Masa, when have you experienced imposter syndrome?
I would say right after I graduated, and for many years thinking, I'm not as good as other dentists. I'm not worthy to be here. I don't know when they're going to find out that I'm not as good as I am, but they will. And it was just this feeling of unease that maybe I was given something that I shouldn't have, or I was given an award or a prestige or something that I wasn't deserving of. And funny enough, I didn't know the term. I didn't know what I was feeling. But I was at a Tony Robbins event and a chiropractor got up and he was explaining how successful he is and yet he feels he's not deserving. We weren't giving it a name. He was just explaining that to Tony Robbins and he feels like every day he's going to be found out. And I actually made a mental note to find this guy amongst, I think there were thousands of people, just to go back to him and say, me too. I felt exactly the same. And we made friends. And I think we're still friends on Facebook to this date. And that was 7 or 8 years ago. So yeah, I distinctly remember him talking about it and him feeling that way as a man that was a professional.
Amazing. How about you, Gurvinder?
Oh, yes, me too. I think I felt it especially when I became a practitioner. When I became an energy psychology practitioner, I had been a stay-at-home mom for so many years.
Mm.
And I'm like, are they going to know that I've just been mothering and doing a million different other things and not seeing clients one-on-one? It was so scary. It was so scary to think that I'm in charge of this person and I'm supposed to listen to them and take them from one area emotion to another. And I'm like, oh, they're going to find out that I just don't know.
Yeah.
And that has been scary. It was so scary.
It is a scary experience to go into something believing that you're not worthy or that you're an imposter, you're a fraud or a fake, and yet so many of us experience it. How about you, Sandeep?
The memory that I have of feeling that way was when the kids were in, I think it was, high school. No, sorry, first they were in junior school, and at one of we have a country picnic that goes on each year. I went in to register, as a volunteer, And one of the ladies who works in admin, she looked at me and she said, "Oh, Mrs. Batha, we've been thinking about you, and we were thinking that you'd be wonderful to be on the gala committee." And I said, "Oh, okay. I'm Sandeep Batha. You may have me confused with someone else. I'm pretty sure I'm not your girl. I'm not sure what you think about me." So I flat out refused. I just said, "No, not me. It can't be me. So good luck to you and all the best." And she's remarkable. I love this woman so much. She followed me about four years later and said, "How do you feel about that gala committee now? We still think you'd be a great, addition to being on it." And I looked at her and I said, you got me in the year of yes. I read the book by Shonda Rhimes. I've talked about it
Oh,
before.
yes.
The book called Year of Yes. And I said, "Oh, okay. So I'm not saying no to you." And I knew her a little better now. But I said, "I will come and talk to you about why you think I'm this person." And the whole time I'm like, for certain that I'm an imposter here. What are they thinking that this self-described non-creative person is going to take on, you know, deciding the decor and all this layup and the setup along with two other, partners. It wasn't just me. And I thought she was out of her mind. But I went and talked to her and I said, "Can I just ask you, what is it that you see in me that makes you think I would be anything of value on this committee?" And she laid out her reasoning. And at the end of it, I said, "Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay. I will do it. Sure." But I'll tell you, the entire time, every single meeting we had for the planning initially, I just sat there going, they have no idea what a waste of space I am right now. Like, they have no idea
Aw.
how I shouldn't be here. I've got many other skills, but this is not one of them. And shall I give you the conclusion here now?
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
sure. Yeah.
it ended up being the best experience.
Oh.
And you're like, I was so right for this job. I was such a great addition, and I
And
and I
she's
had
being
so much
modest.
fun. I'm being very modest, but why be modest? It is truthful. I discovered in myself that I love event planning. I
Yes.
love, coming together with other creative minds and putting together a vision and then helping to execute that. What a fabulous discovery. And it was a 2-year commitment. So by year two, they couldn't find somebody more enthusiastically, on that committee and ready. And I already had the idea, like, had come to me about what the next year's theme could be. And I kind of, presented it and thought, what do you guys think? What's your feedback? But what a turnaround of events to think that I was such an imposter with zero creative, input to I was already thinking of how to make the next year's event go off. Yeah. So that's my recollection of that syndrome.
That's
Imposter syndrome.
amazing.
That is
Yeah.
Oh,
wonderful.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And for people who watched us from the beginning,
Yeah.
it was Sandeep that actually arranged our launching party. She
Mm.
did all of that, and it truly was amazing. I mean, we walked in and it was a different world, all the decoration from the door to the valet to the cups and
Red carpet.
right, everything. And she's really amazing at putting that together. So for you not to think or to think you're an imposter, it's incredibly strange to think of that. And I'm really glad you found that passion.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
amazing,
Thank you for your
Sandy.
kind words.
It's
And
true.
yeah, I have actually discovered, and I have to credit this now good friend who really saw something in me
Yeah.
that I didn't, and therefore thought I was an imposter and not ready, capable, talented, skilled enough. Yet all it needed was me to just, trust her and just trust myself
And say yes.
and say
And
yes.
say
And
yes.
say
And say yes. The
Yes.
yes is the holy grail. Like, it's the thing that really launched me into that whole process of self-discovery. And I wasted decades saying that I've got not a creative bone in my body. And friends would say to me, You're not creative? How can you say you're not creative?" And I'd say, "Oh, because I'm not creative. And I don't know where somehow that story
Came
got
from.
implanted, but it just stayed with me. And so now I will never say that. I do definitely have creative talent and strengths.
This is a really important awareness in resolving the challenge of the imposter syndrome is asking those around us who see us bigger than we see ourselves.
Mm.
Sometimes we're looking for that evidence to support our limiting beliefs.
Mhm.
No, I'm not very good, so I'm going to go out there and find people that are going to tell me I'm not very good, because then we get to be right about that. And then you've got, like, you had the experience, and everyone here had the experience of somebody validating them in what they wanted to do to navigate that imposter syndrome. And I was thinking, as each of you shared your stories, I have probably hundreds of stories of imposter syndrome. I don't know that there's an event that I go into without questioning, am I the right person for this? Is this where I'm supposed to be? Is there somebody better suited? Am I too old? Am I too young? Am I too inexperienced? I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. I have the wrong color hair. I mean, you name it. There's the imposter is very real, even for not even for me, even in areas that I have extreme strength. I'm still asking myself, how can I be better? How can I be worthy of this audience, this experience? And it comes from wanting to deliver the best possible result. And I think that I experienced that from each of you. So the story that I would like to share is bringing, and it really was inspired once again by your story, Sandeep. It's when I was asked to bring Bob Proctor to Vancouver. And Bob Proctor, for those of you that don't know, was a legend in the mindset industry. I mean, he studied the book Think and Grow Rich for over 50 years and had tens of millions of fans around the world and built a school every week in Africa. I mean, he was just an extraordinary man. He died in his late 80s, not too many years ago. And I wanted to bring him to Vancouver. He lived in Toronto. And, you know, the speaker's fee that he had and the schedule that he had and all the other things that I made up in my mind. Well, who am I to think that he would want to come to Vancouver? And I didn't think I would organize the event. And I spoke with his wife, Linda, and Linda asked Bob, and Bob said, yeah, I'll come to Vancouver. Here's what I need. And the rest is going to be up to you. And I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? And it turned out to be the last time that he spoke in Vancouver. And it was a sold out event, standing room only. And we raised money for his charity of choice. And it was an extraordinary experience. And at the same time, there wasn't a moment before the event or all through the event that I didn't doubt, I am not an event planner. That was the first event I had ever planned. And I'm bringing a legend to the city. And we find a way to make it work. And I think, like you were sharing, Sandeep, about saying yes, it's the first step, because then we have that accountability. And if our mind is so good at teaching us what we're not good at, we can always flip the switch and say, okay, what am I good at? What do I bring to the table? And to remember that we're not doing these things alone. We have our support system.
That's right.
We can ask questions. We can ask for help. We can say, here's my blind spot. Can you help fill it for me? So let's talk about some of the solutions that you experienced that got you through that experience of feeling like a fraud or feeling like an imposter. Dr. Soraya, would you like to go first?
I was actually thinking maybe we should clarify what an imposter syndrome is first.
Great idea.
Because I hadn't really, until the lecture, it was a women's leadership program that was put in by the Vancouver district. And we went, I just went for the leadership part. And that is the first time. It was like literally 2 months ago that I heard the term imposter syndrome.
Wow.
And I wish I had brought my notes with me, because there is a series of points that who feels that and what does it include and why is that called this? But in a nutshell, who wants to explain what is an imposter syndrome?
It's feeling like you're not the person that you need to be in that role. So I'm faking, I'm not real, I'm not a real singer, I'm not a real speaker, I'm not a real dentist, I'm not a real event coordinator. Nope, that's not me. That's not my title. I am faking it. And even people can have an extraordinary success, a huge success, and still look back and say, I was a fake. I was a fraud. I was faking my way through. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was figuring out as I went along. And then you're feeling like a fake, a fraud. Imposter syndrome is really feeling like a fake, feeling like it's not who you really are, and people are going to find out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well
to
explained.
that point, people who feel it may want to, as successful as they are, take drugs or get into alcohol or food or something to calm their nerves because there is this anxious feeling constantly going on within them. Exactly like Miko was saying, even though they're very successful, they're like, they only think I'm successful. And one day they're going to find out that my cases, for example, I'm a dentist, I'm talking on those grounds, my cases were not as good as I said they were. And one of the things that they become, one of the attributes is they become actually very competitive and they start finding faults with other people because the only way they can feel validated and good in their skin, if there is competition, is to put the competition down. So in dentistry, we see a lot of people, dentists bullying each other. And you would say, why? And it's because they need to somehow validate themselves by trying to be extremely critical of another dentist's work. So if you are a patient and you go to a dental office and the dentist, the first thing it says is, who is your last dentist? They did an awful job. I would run. I really would
Yeah.
because, we all do our best, whether you're a carpenter, a housemaker, or today Mika shared something about a roof maker that has been making roofs for 20 years. These people know what they're doing. And if somebody else is finding the smallest fault, it's just showing their inferiority, their complex, and what demons they're fighting inside. So that was one of the symptoms. The other was going out there and finding a release. The third was they become workaholics because they feel the more they do, the more they put into their jobs, it's going to make them better. And then that bar just keeps going higher and higher. Getting a great filling or doing a great job is no longer good enough. They push themselves for being, and there is no limit. So they will, they will drive themselves insane. So there is a whole gamut that comes with this. It's not like, oh, I'm not good enough and they're not going in their corner and they're kind of doing their thing. It creates at home how they deal with their families. And really the solution here to Mika's question was to seek help. Counseling. If you constantly feel like you're not good enough, whether a wife, a mother, a doctor, maybe talk to somebody and check with someone else and say, look, you're a human, you're doing your best. At least until the AIs replace us, we are still human. So let's just do the best we can and appreciate each other for that. If somebody comes to my practice and I see maybe poor dentistry, I don't know what the doctor's day was like. I don't know if the patient that day was gagging, like that's what gagging is, or they were pushing the doctor's hand away, or they had a panic attack and the doctor just did the best filling they could for that day. You can't judge what went on, very limited point of time, and call somebody bad or good based on one bad experience or one bad work. And especially if it can be reversible. If the filling is chipped, we replace it. If a root canal needs to be done, we redo it. So at the end of the day, that was my imposter syndrome talk that I just learned.
So what I heard was that there's always another level.
Yeah.
And to celebrate yourself, honor yourself for where you are, that you're doing the best you can right now.
Yes.
And yay, you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And not finding faults with other people.
Amen to that. Thank you. Thank you.
I think that was the main point I was trying to get across, because I see more and more of that happening with the new generation of doctors that are coming out.
Yeah, it's in every industry. I think there's people that feel better by pushing somebody else down.
Mm.
Gurvinder, you're in the world of tapping, and that's
Yeah.
a great solution to some of these irrational, often fears and beliefs. What
It
are your
absolutely is. And when you were speaking, Mika, the first word that came to my mind is worth.
Mm.
That's what we're all feeling. We're not feeling worthy of
Hmm.
Mm.
the new title or what someone thinks that we're going to be really good at. Like you were saying, Cindy.
Mhm.
So I think it's a worth thing, and yes, it is something that I have dealt with myself, but I also see that with a lot of clients. And one of the things in that I did with myself is I kept seeking more accreditations.
Hmm.
I thought
Mm.
I went and took someone's workshop. I went and worked with someone for 8 weeks. Oh my God, I went and got certified to be a quantum EFT practitioner. I did my Awaken Mind program. I kept searching. I'm like, no, 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 no. Let me add more. Let me add more. Let me add more. And at some point, you have to stop
Mhm. Perform.
and perform,
Right.
perform. But and the thing that a lot of us do have is the worth thing, and that's what we've like myself and many other practitioners. That's what we have tapped on. Where is that coming from? What is the root cause? Did you hear it from the parents? Did you hear it from coaches? Did you hear it from teachers? Did you hear someone say to you, "No, you can't do that," or "No, you need to wait your turn," or somewhere did you hear a no, or you can't? And that's one of the things that I would address. I would uh, go back with the client to figure out that root cause coming from childhood and who did you hear it from, and really progressing from there. And you will be so surprised as to what the cause is and how relieved you feel after we've done a number of sessions. It's just fantastic. The strength you feel in your core when you shed all those words, especially "I'm not worthy." When you shed that, when you just let go, your wings start flapping.
Mm.
And not only do the wings start flapping, but the wings spread out and suddenly you are soaring. So if you want to learn more, connect with me at Our Eudaimonia, and I can give you more information on what I've done with clients or what I've done with myself.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that visual of the
Yeah.
wings spreading and soaring.
How
Yeah.
about you, Sandeep? What are some of the ways that you navigate the creeping in of imposter syndrome?
I would say, something I already shared about my story was I sought to find out what this woman saw in me
Mm.
so that I could understand what she was seeing in me that I didn't see in myself. So that was one thing. And then because like I said I'd read the book, it's very easy for me to come up with an excuse of no, I don't think so. This is going to be difficult, or it's not a great time for me. I'm quite busy. And really, when I sat down and sat with it and analyzed it and felt it, it was really just not wanting to be uncomfortable. Really just wanting to stay in my kind of easy lane and live life. But at the same time, having this inner deep knowing that I wasn't living as full a life as I could be. So I think it was really sitting with it, asking myself why the resistance, um, and then sort of persevering. And luckily, like I said, when I read Shonda Rhimes' book, The Year of the Yes, and I made that commitment that whatever came my way was going to be a yes. I was going to make it work and no more excuses. And, the most interesting experiences did come my way. And now, as we're talking, more and more memories are flooding back of some of the uncomfortable things I said I did. But part of it was choosing to say yes. We've already talked about that. Sitting with the feelings of why am I feeling that I'm not belonging to this space? What is it about that? And I think you touched on it, Gurvinder, that it's about worthiness. It's about, am I accredited enough? Do I have the skills? But I think, as I'm sitting here talking and we're talking about the subject, I can't help but think that those people that feel imposter syndrome probably are the ones that really truly belong in the spaces they're afraid of occupying because they're already so thoughtful. They're already questioning,
Mm.
do I have the skills? Do I have the talent? Do I have the experience to be here? Whereas I think other less skilled, less, worthy people may just dive in. And when you do finally decide to be brave enough to enter the space and be in the room where you felt, maybe I don't know what happens in this room and I don't know what kind of brilliance is here that I won't be able to have anything to contribute. Once you're in that room and you look around, you go, oh, I more than belong here. I have more than I thought to contribute. And, that's a discovery, but you have to be willing to step into those spaces and you have to be willing to step into those rooms. And until you do, you're going to be left thinking that there's something just so far out of your reach. And I think so. I don't know. Did I provide a solution there?
It's validating
Yeah.
to understand some of the thought processes that we go through
Right.
to get to the end result that I'm not a fraud.
Mhm.
Or if I am, so what? I did it. I'm going to celebrate me. There's always another level. And as Tony Robbins has taught, that perfectionism is the lowest standard. Perfectionism is fear. Not taking action because it's not perfect really boils down to not having the courage to take action because it's not perfect.
Mhm.
And so there's going to be an element of the imposter syndrome. There's going to be an element of feeling like a fraud. So what? What if that's just part of the process?
Mm.
Process. What if that's...
And what if can we reframe that wording?
Yeah,
Can we
exactly.
reframe imposter syndrome to, I'm new at this. This is my first time. I'm learning. I'm going to be amazing in a year from now. I'm only getting better. Must we say that, oh, I don't know if I belong here. I don't know if I'm good enough to be here, versus owning it even in the space out loud and saying, I'm super excited to be here. This is my first time doing this. And I'm probably going to make some mistakes, but I own them. I'm happy to learn from them. And so once we just allow ourselves that space to be okay being new at something, or it's a first time, or we're not as experienced, or maybe we think we're not as experienced, but I think that that gives some momentum to moving forward and just learning as you go
And getting the
and
experience.
getting the experience yeah, like,
So imposter syndrome is not just because you're new. That's the problem, though.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
There are doctors or people or practitioners or
CEOs,
CEOs that have
CFOs.
done it
Yeah.
for years, and they just can't get over the fact
Yes.
that one day,
Mm,
and I know that because I was that. I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't matter how many years you practice as whatever. Oh, I'm not a good businesswoman. And one day they're going to find out about that. It's a
Yes.
mentality. I think it goes back to what Gurvinder's saying of not being worthy
Yes.
mhm.
and somehow getting lucky, with that. It's not a novice's thing. And a lot of really good authors were always feeling that one of these days their books won't sell or people will find out that their work wasn't. But there are people like Somerset Maugham that I think produced amazing books.
Is
And
that an author?
he's a British author, and he was about 150 to 100 years ago, and he wrote things like The Painted Veil or a lot of short stories. And first time I met him was I love Stephen King. He's one of my favorite authors. And he mentioned that Stephen King's favorite author was Somerset Maugham. And when you look at his literature or get a chance to read his book, he writes very simply, not in a simple way, but in a very way that is relatable. And many critics made fun of him and said that he wasn't worthy of writing, and yet he just didn't listen. He's like, I don't care what you say. He was a prolific writer, and I wish more of us were like that. He had this innate way of feeling validated and good about his work, and he just went out and wrote everything regardless of what the critics say. Whereas with the imposter syndrome people, they're looking for others to criticize them and saying, okay, I was right, then I don't belong on this platform.
Yeah, sometimes that is the case. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, Massa, about it not just being beginners,
I
because
agree.
it is a lot. And I've been in the field of coaching for 40 years, like 40 years. And I still feel sometimes like, who am I to give this advice?
Yes.
And what one of the things that gets in my way that I've noticed recently, and I hope this is valuable to everybody listening, is when we're in a certain field, we're in the rooms of people in that field. And we're listening to things on YouTube, we're reading books, we're taking classes in that field. And then there's an assumption, often, not always, there's an assumption that everybody knows what we know. Everybody thinks what we think. And therefore, when we get into a room, we're thinking that everyone has learned what we've learned, and therefore I'm a fraud by delivering it. Or I'm faking my knowledge because I've learned from the same person that they've learned from. And there's three things on that. One of them is that the chances of them digesting and learning everything the same way as you have is 0%, because everybody is unique and listening or learning through their own filters and experiences in life. So that knocks that out. The second thing is that nobody is you. You are one of a kind. You are not a fraud. You cannot be an imposter because you are you. And it's just impossible to be an imposter of yourself because that's just who you are.
So good.
And the third thing is that if you're in the rooms of people that are learning for different reasons, they're learning for different reasons, they're listening for different reasons. And it's kind of like the same first point. You're not going to deliver, even if you're delivering the same information. So an example that I like to offer is if you've watched a movie and then you go watch the movie again, do you see the exact same things the second time? No. If you're learning from somebody online or from a facilitator or a coach or a mentor or a guru of some sort, are you hearing, even if they've delivered the same, like I've done Unleash the Power Within by Tony Robbins about 30 times. I'm a senior leader with Tony Robbins, and so I attend as a servant leader and I also attend as a participant. And I can say honestly, wholeheartedly, that even though I've participated at multiple levels of that class, I still hear things and I'm like, did he say that? I've never heard him say that before. And I've got people around me saying, yes, he said that every single time, because we're listening different. And I hope that's helpful in navigating that imposter syndrome. Look at the room that you're in, look at the people you're with. And my husband helps me with this too. When I'm preparing to give a speech or I'm emceeing an event and I feel like I'm not good enough to emcee this event, I don't know, I'm not this, I'm not that. When you ladies are talking about parenting, I feel like an imposter. I don't have children. And one of the gifts of that, of being on the other side, is that you have a different perspective. You're able to see things that others aren't able to see because I don't have children. Because my networks are not all talking about children, I might bring a different perspective. So you cannot be an imposter, even if it's a beginner thing or it's an experienced thing. That's been my experience, and that helps me knock it out of the park when it starts to creep in, and I hope it helps you.
Yeah, Mika, it does. It's just one of us. I love that. It's just one of you. You're one in a billion.
One of a kind.
You're one of a kind. And your lenses, how you see the world, how you digest material. So you cannot be that was amazing. Thank you for that.
I found it valuable too. And what I took away from it is just saying what you just said, that each of us is unique. We're unique in how we take in information. We're unique in how we transcribe that information in our soul, in our body, and then even what words we choose to disseminate that information.
Yes.
Some of us are, maybe really good at breaking it down to preschool level so someone can really understand it. Some of us love to use a little more, different jargon. So
bigger words,
and that's okay too. But I think that's a beautiful way to think about it, that doesn't matter which room you're in. You as an individual are still going to contribute something incredibly unique and in a unique manner, which is going to have value for those that are in the room picking it up if they need it in that moment. So I think, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to really, would you say it's also letting go of what other people's perceptions are, what they're going to take away? You just go and do your thing?
Unless it drives you.
Unless it drives you.
Sometimes it can drive you. It can be the driver to want to be better, to practice more because you're worried about that judgment. So if it's going to serve you, then use it. If it's not, let it go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what I've taken away from that, Mika, is the Tony Robbins event. So when you go there, you've been there many times, but you take something from it.
Mhm.
You take something different. It's like, did I hear that? And to me, I've talked about cleaning your antennas. So you're
Yes.
going back with shinier, cleaner, sparklier antennas, and they're sending out different waves, and you're receiving things differently. That was the image that I had in my head when you go to something or you watch the same movie over and over again. You're actually a different person.
Yes.
It's super cool.
It's so cool. Hi, my name's Mika. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Any closing final remarks?
I want to say something
Yeah.
that Sandeep said that made a huge difference to me just right now. And that was when I felt the way I felt is because I wanted to do what was best. I think you said it so well. People who have that syndrome already have this consciousness that they want to contribute best they can. And what if they don't measure up, right? What if they're not good enough? What if they let other people down? In your case, it would have been a disaster for the decoration. Or in my case, maybe I would have made a mistake. And just saying to yourself, by having those thoughts already makes you a kind person. It makes you a compassionate or responsible person. I think just took a little weight off the shoulder.
Ah.
Just listening to that, it did. Because look, you're doing your best. And whether you're an imposter or not, at least the thought, because if somebody doesn't care, like you say, if that person is whatever, whether I heard it or whether the event turns out good or bad, I don't care, then that thought is not even going to enter their heads. So that just kind of made me feel, oh, that already felt better. If I am conscious enough to worry about the result of what I'm doing, that my actions are going to affect other people, maybe I'm already ahead of some people who wouldn't be feeling that. So that helped me.
Yay.
So for people out there who are constantly double checking on their own worth, maybe knowing that in itself is a good sign that they're doing a good job.
Yeah, that they're already thinking about it.
That they're already
Exactly.
thinking about it. Yeah, and being responsible, right?
Mhm.
Yes, and there's a trust factor to what Sandeep said too.
Yeah.
Huge trust factor.
Yeah.
Because when someone does a little bit of work and then creates something, I'd rather be with the person who's taking their time. I'd rather go to the person who was a little tepid and was a little unsure and really wanted to not be perfect, but really wanted to put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a trust factor. They're putting more work in it. Therefore, they're going to deliver. They're actually going to deliver what they say.
That creates imposter in me.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
sorry.
It's okay. It's just a great notice. I feel like it's a perspective. It's a way you're looking at if somebody takes their time, that's who you'd rather listen to because that's your filter.
Yeah.
And I love that. I'm like, not me. I want somebody who's like on it, and fired up because if they're speaking fired up, that shows confidence and that shows certainty and they know what they're doing. So it just goes to show that there's no right or wrong answer. It's all in our heads.
That's right.
It's all in the decision of the decider.
What makes us feel comfortable? What what is the magnet that we're going towards? What is it that we're picking up that we find reflecting back to us that makes us feel comfortable? That might be the key.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what do each of you um, almost make, what do each of you think when someone's a little more cautious and a little more tepid, like you said? What does that mean for you? Does that give you an indication that they've taken their time, that they're really uh, thorough? And for you, maybe someone who's go, fire, fire, it may represent a lot of confidence. Maybe they have a lot of experience, and only you two can speak for what it means to you. But
Yeah.
even that, it's so interesting, right? It's
Exactly.
so
Yeah. I'm
interesting.
like, woohoo.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and for someone else someone who comes on with gunfire, people may think, wow, that's just a bit too much. I'm not sure. They seem overconfident. They seem almost whatever. And someone who's coming off as unsure, a little slower, might also come across as less confident. So it's so
It's all
interesting to hear that.
perspective.
That's why we're
It's all
here, is to share
perspective. Yeah.
perspectives.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Great. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
great.
well, I totally understood something completely different. I was just like, I am 100% with this chick, because you do have to trust the person, is what I thought. If somebody puts the trust in you and you take that trust as the holy grail, you try and deliver
Yeah.
now, whether your attitude is guns blazing or let me think about this because I don't want to disappoint you. But I think whoever feels the trust or is given the trust, if they feel it and they show it, then you are are even more trustworthy because they're doing their best
Yeah.
to not let you down, is the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, like in your case, you're like, they're trusting me, so I better deliver. That's what and if they're trusting me, I better deliver. Now, how you deliver is up to you,
Mhm.
but that sense of responsibility weighing on you makes you even more
Mhm.
not an imposter. Not an imposter. That's a
Yeah.
double negative.
It's so good, Masa. And again,
It's you're not an imposter. if
you're not an imposter.
Because you're taking all of this in and you're trying so hard to deliver. So how can you be an imposter when you care that much?
When you care that
That's
much.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You have to be you and know that you're going to be judged one way or the other. Somebody is going to come along and judge you as not good enough. You're too soft, too quiet. You're too loud, too gusto, too, what did you say, gunfiring or whatever it was. It's you got to be you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be you because there's nobody else but
Like
you.
you.
There's nobody else like you. You're one
Yeah.
of a kind. Yeah. And so that's all I've got. Anybody else
No,
want
I
to?
think we said it all.
I
Hmm.
love the dialogue here.
Fabulous.
Did we actually talk for an hour? Or are we cutting this short?
We're cutting it a little short because I think we are fabulous and we don't need to keep it going.
Okay.
That's
No,
why I'm
that was
checking
it.
in. Are we
Yeah.
good? Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think-
just I like to summarize for myself,
Mhm.
what are my takeaways? And I think my takeaway is truly be yourself. We say this almost like, I feel like this is a bit of a theme with us, but be yourself and trust in what you're offering. And if it's coming from a good place,
Mhm.
that's enough, and you will, like you always say, you will lean forward,
Lean
Lean in.
learn forward,
Oh, fail forward.
fail forward. Yeah. And so that's a beautiful takeaway for me is, the heck with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Heck with it. We don't need it.
Yeah,
We don't
we
need it
don't
because
need it.
you can't be an imposter. That's what I
Yeah,
heard today.
Because you are enough.
You are enough.
Yeah, we are
You
enough.
are enough.
Yes.
And if somebody says something to you, always remember that it's their opinion.
Yes.
It's their opinion. It has nothing to do with you. It is their opinion.
Mhm.
So if we can remind ourselves of that too, it's them. That's how they're feeling. Whatever circumstances led them towards you and give you their opinion is theirs. It has nothing to do with you. If we can just smile and say thank you.
If it stings, it's worth looking at.
Mm.
Mm.
If it stings, if that
True.
feedback stings,
Yes.
it's worth looking at. because we are mirrors for each other. If it's
Mm-hmm.
just rolling off the cat's back, as they say, then, it is what it is. But if there's energy on it,
Mhm.
then it is something to look at.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to share a story about, I know we're trying to wrap up, but
No, no.
I met a woman, very recently at an event, and we got to talking, I think, about the podcast, and she shared that she's got 30 some odd years of experience in wealth management, and she said, I'm at the point in my career where I really would love to just share information with women, especially women, because she goes, in my experience, I've seen that a lot of women haven't taken the lead in managing the finances. They don't really understand how to invest or how to do this, that, and the other. And I could just feel this desire oozing out of her with just the most beautiful intention. And so, I just asked, how do you see that happening? And she, the podcast sort of, because we were talking along the lines, and I just sort of sensed this hesitation with what, I think, if I was, now I'm going to use my own imagination, but I don't know what was going on for her. But I just thought, it's not like, just go for it. Like, I just wanted to just say, go for it. Like, you've got something beautiful to share. Take a mic, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a perfectly rounded number of minutes, and just share what's on your mind. And there will be value for the people who it lands with
Yes.
and who happen to watch or listen. And they may already know it, but they may not know it. And there may be some that just go, wow, I need more of this. But it's such a shame if we stop ourselves thinking that things have to be perfect, or that,
Yeah.
do I have enough experience? Am I somebody worthy of sharing this? So anybody out there, I guess my point is, I really want anyone who's wondering if you've got something valuable to offer. I think if you already have the idea, it's valuable. Like, it's worth it, and find a means or a way or an avenue to get that information out there, because it's needed, and that's why it's come up for you in your heart to share it. So for for someone like her, I just wanted to say that, just
How beautiful.
yeah.
How
And yeah, you
beautiful.
might look at the podcast, Us Four Ladies, and think, wow, they really got it together. But if you knew the background of every,
I'm the only
episode,
one that had it together.
yeah,
That's the truth.
That's the truth.
obviously.
Amen to that.
But, but little do we know, like, I mean, I think you do know, because we post it all. So I don't think there's anything that's a surprise there. But, it just starts. You just have to start.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if you're a CEO who's struggling with
Mhm.
imposter syndrome, there's 60% of us. So we're part of a club, all right?
You're doing great.
We're doing great. We're doing
Yeah.
great. We're doing
Doing
great.
great.
And on that note, please, ladies, if you're watching or listening and you've heard something that you're like, wow, yes, that's me, or I really need to hear that, or a friend of mine really needs to hear that, please let us know in the comments section. Share our podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and then you will not miss another episode. It's free to subscribe, and it helps us to get out to more people. So thank you. And on that note, see you next time. The views shared on this podcast reflect our personal experiences and opinions. This content is not a substitute for professional advice. Please consult a qualified expert for any medical, legal, or mental health concern. If this conversation spoke to you, please follow the Ladies in Power podcast and leave us a review. Your voice helps more people find this sisterhood and these conversations. Together we rise. And remember, your voice matters here.